Diane in Denmark here. I made a video about 3 or 4 weeks ago and I showed you one of my fallback recipes for, when I'm in a push and I want to just have something nice and hoogly, some kind of comfort food. And I showed you how to make some bread rolls that only take about 15 minutes to make and there's hardly any work involved. And I showed you that, I know you all love them and I've seen you making them on Instagram, it's fantastic. Anyway, at the same time I was, that day when I was filming, I was making some of my mum's minestrone soup. And you all asked about that, and I'm making the minestrone soup today. So here we go, just going to film it like everything else. And a few, what should we say, please, I don't want to offend any Italians because I know this minestrone soup is not like your mother makes minestrone soup. But this is how my mum in Scotland makes her minestrone soup. And it's always kind of different. It's a bit like that Flylady Crockpot chicken, where you clear out the refrigerator and put in all the bits of, soy sauce packets and barbecue sauce and, bits of fluff that you find in the corners. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I make my mum's minestrone soup. And you know what? It's not even for my dinner. It's for husband and the kids. I'm going out to my Swedish evening class tonight. And if you saw on Instagram last night, I've already packed my dinner to take, but I'll probably have a plate of this when I get home. It's really cold in Denmark right now. The temperatures have dropped. This morning I was out having, a swim, and it was 3 degrees when I cycled down there, which is 37 Fahrenheit. So anyway, on with the soup. I washed my hands. I've got my pinny on because I can't work in the kitchen without my pinny on. And I'm making mine in the Instant Pot, but up until I got the Instant Pot last year, I would just throw everything into the Crockpot. So if you've got one of those, that's fine. Otherwise, you can just make it in a pot and put it on top of the stove. So the thing that I like about the Instant Pot is that it has this function. If I turn it around, sauté function. So you can actually fry off your meat or your veggies if you're doing something in Crockpot mode. And you can actually fry it first without, having to fry it on the stove and then transfer to a Crockpot. I always take the easy way out, me, jump over where the bar is lowest. But that's one of the functions I like about the Instant Pot. And also because at the end of the day, if you don't kind of finish the soup, you can take it out, kind of put it in the fridge, and then the next day you can bring it out and reheat, by putting it onto sauté. Anyway, do you want to see what's in the pot? What I've done already is you just take any, kind of root vegetables that you have in your fridge that, are kind of getting past the best. It's a great day for making the soup is on a Wednesday when you're cleaning out your fridge. But in here today I've got, I used a leek and a carrot, potato. You can go ahead, it's very nice if you've got a couple of sticks of celery, turnip, pumpkin, whatever you've got. Anyway, basically you've got your veggies, and I've just fried mine off in a wee bit of oil. And then basically you're just going to dump everything in and let the crock or the Instant Pot or the slow cooker, or leave it on the stove and just, leave it to do the magic work while you go and do something else, like decluttering for 15 minutes. Anyway, my veggies are in, and then the next thing that Mum always adds is a tin of tomatoes. So those are going in, and my mum always adds in a wee bit of sugar when she adds a tin of tomatoes, because they can be a bit acidic. So let me just get a spoon and some sugar. Just a teaspoonful, you don't need much. And if you don't want to put in sugar, and this is not, it's not an exact recipe, you're just using up what you have. Right, so I've got a tin of tomatoes in there. You can also use passata. I'll add a wee squish of tomato puree. If you don't have that, don't worry, it doesn't make a huge difference. Let's get mine out of the fridge. but it just kind of beefs up the flavour a bit. Okay, that's my tomato puree in. And then you're going to want some stock in there because you can see there's not that much liquid. So I had the kettle boiling, let me just boil it up again. And I'm just throwing in a stock cube, I'm not kind of dissolving it first, and you just can all go in. There we are. And that's for metal recycling. Remember, try and clean up as you go. I was chopping things and peeling the carrot. That can go straight in the dishwasher because I emptied the dishwasher this morning. And when I empty the dishwasher, I immediately set the table for the next meal because it saves me taking the stuff out, putting it back in the drawer and then having to pull it out again. Cut corners, that's my middle name. Right, anyway, water is boiled. And I'm adding in, I would say it's about half a litre to a litre, depending on how many veggies you've got in there. Give it a restart. I'm just leaving this on the saute function right now. And then, just put this away. You remember, do a poopa as you go, pick up and put it away. Once you've used the thing, you know, if you've used something and wash and clean it, just get it off your surface. Right, here's the little tricks that my mum does. Is she always adds in a handful of rice, and it can be any kind of rice that you like, and if you don't have rice, don't worry about it. But mum says I always just take a handful like this. You see that? And mum adds in a good handful, because that also kind of stiffens up the soup a bit and gives it a bit of body. And in this type of weather, we really need soup to kind of stick to your bones, as my mum would say. Right, there we go. And I've told you about mum's soup before because whenever mum and dad would come here, my dad died a couple of years ago, but when mum and dad came over for Christmas or come over, you know, they would come over and visit us for a couple of weeks, I would always get them to do, you know, because I always want to kind of do everything myself, or I feel like I'm not doing it properly if people are having to help me. And Flylady has really helped me with that, not to be perfectionist about it, and it's not a criticism if people want to give you a hand. So I would say to mum and dad, oh, you know, could my mum make soup? Mum's really good at making soup. She makes a great peanut and celery soup, and anyway, she's really good at making soup, so I always get mum to go and make some soup. That was very helpful. The other thing is my dad is vacuuming. You know, my dad could vacuum all day long. He loved vacuuming. So if you've got family coming in, you know, for Thanksgiving, Christmas, let them do something, you know, to help you. Right, okay, so my soup is kind of bubbling away. There you go. Right, and then once you got to this stage, you can add in, this is where you can add in like your little accessories for the soup. Normally I would just take some pasta, you know, spaghetti, break it up a bit, put that in there. And I went to have a look in my cupboards and I thought, oh, actually today I'll put in some tortellini and make a tortellini soup. I'm just going to add in a couple of handfuls. And you'll just remember and check that you've got enough water in there, because you're going to leave this, if you're doing it on the top of the stove, I would say about 30 minutes, just in order for the flavours to mesh and for the pasta to cook. That's the main thing, to get the pasta cooked. Right, so I've put in tortellini today, so it's going to be like a tortellini soup. The family, they're going to be having it with sandwiches, soup and sandwiches on these kind of nights. And the other thing is, if you, oh, hold on, there's a text coming, let me close that. The other thing that you can add, you can go ahead and add maybe a tin of beans, you know, if you've got some white beans or borlotti beans, if you're into beans. Those you can add kidney beans and make a kind of taco soup. And, hold on, I think I'm ready now, let's have a wee look. Oh, final thing, hold on. I'll tell you about the toppings just in a second. I almost forgot salt and pepper. Yeah. And here we go. Showed you these before. You know I love my gadgets, and this is the salt that lights up and makes a noise like at Star Wars, one of those fighters. Yep. So salt or not salt if you're watching your salt. We don't need to watch our salt here. And the pepper lights up too. Now that really sounds like Star Wars X-Fighter to me. Anyway, and lots of pepper. I actually originally bought these for my dad because my dad loved black pepper. Right, okay, so that's it bubbling out. I'm just going to add a wee drop more water. There we are, because the pasta will absorb some water. I'll tell you what, come over here and you can see how much water is in there. Let me see. You see that? Yeah. And then I'm going to switch it to... I'm going to switch that to slow cook. Oh, sorry. I have to switch it off first and then slow cook. And I just want it on a slow cook, and I'll go for 7 hours, which is fine. And then lid on. It always makes that funny noise, and close the vent. And that is it. And then, you know, the kids and hubby can just take it when they're ready. And then another... You know, if you want to really jazz it up, when you serve it, we normally serve this with fried up bits of bacon. You can do fried onions, you can put on grated cheddar cheese. If you had maybe added kidney beans and made it into kind of taco soup, you could do, you know, creme fraiche, some salsa, you know, broken up tortilla chips. But we like it a lot with the homemade bread rolls that I showed you in the other video. I'll put a link up there in case you missed that. So anyway, that is it for me. I'm going to just clean things here, because remember, when you're in the kitchen, do a little poopa. You know, if you pick something up and put it away. I'm going to put my things away, wash this off, and these things go straight in the dishwasher, because I emptied the dishwasher this morning, so it's all ready to go. And that will be me. And I'll try and tag on a little photo of the end soup at the end of this video. Yeah? Okay, that's it for me. Diane in Denmark, have a fantastic day and live long and prosper. Okay, see you very soon.